Hello, class. Today I'm doing my speech on an interview I did with one of my good friends, Misty Hale. She's a vet assistant at the Galleon Animal Hospital in Galleon, Ohio. I just asked her a few questions about her work and some things that she would do on a day-to-day basis and some of the ups and downs of her job. The first question I asked was what her normal daily responsibilities would be. She said that she takes the history of the animal when they come in for an appointment. She'll do the vitals, and she also does monitoring, during a surgery. She says she does some reception work when it's needed, and she also does quite a bit of lab work. And of course, the cleaning and restraining, which is essential with the job. And I asked her what her typical day was like. She said around the clinic opens at 8 o'clock, so between 8 to 10:30, they have some appointments. She said that could be anything from just, some the normal vaccines, or, my dog has an allergy. And she said 10:30 to 1:30 is surgery. Once again, anything from just a normal spay or neuter, declaw. And she said it could also be from like bladder stones or a foreign body surgery. And this also is the time that they do their dentals. 2:30 to 6 are more appointments, and then by 6 to 6:30 is they clean and they close down everything and they're ready to go home. And I asked her, she does have an undergraduate degree from Ashland University in biology. She essentially does want to become a veterinarian to go to school at Ohio State. And I asked her what some of the most important classes she took while she was at Ashland University, and also some of the important experience that she had that helps her in her job every day. She said microbiology is probably one of the most important classes that she took. A lot of the lab work she does requires her to look through microscopes and look at slides, and she said it's just essential that she knows what she's looking at. And she said also living on a farm is very helpful because she knows how animals act and their typical behavior. And she said she's not afraid of feral cats. Like, she has noticed some other people have been, because she's dealt with them on her farm. And she knows how to respect animals. And I asked her where she plans on being professionally in 5 to 10 years. She said she wants to be a veterinarian, and she doesn't really know if she wants to do her own practice or go into a larger clinic with multiple veterinarians, but she wants to focus on large animal, particularly cattle. And she said it's always been that animal has always been a passion of hers, and having been raised around them, she just has wanted to do that. I asked her what advice she had for people like me that were just starting, preparing themselves for the field. She said get experience and do it as soon as you can and get as much as you can. Anything and everything's good. She's said, even if it's just cleaning out kennels or something like that, she said do it. It looks good on your resume. It provides you with valuable experience. The more you sign up for experience, the more situations you'll be exposed to earlier. I also asked her if the career field was growing in her opinion, just the veterinarian field in general, not just as a vet assistant or a technician or a vet. And she said yes, it is. However, clientele are more difficult to please, especially with prices. She said that in her clinic, they always say people like to go to Dr. Google or look things up on the internet and think they know what they're talking about. And one of her most stressful parts of her job is, she said, when the waiting room is full, all the examination rooms are full, and we only have one doctor. She said that is most stressful thing because, you know, having 3 dogs and 2 cats sitting out in the waiting room and just hoping that nothing happens out there, and, you know, clients are getting impatient and because they've had to wait so long, it becomes very stressful for everybody involved, which only escalates because the pets feel that stress as well. And I asked her how she deals with the difficult parts of her job or the bad days. She said one thing that the office does is they always go to lunch together on Wednesday. She said they don't, since they legally can't really talk about certain patients outside of work, they don't do that, but they're able to just kind of vent and relax and see each other in a more personal basis rather than always professional. And she said it just helps them grow together, and they know they always have each other to lean on. It's just helped them build friendships within the office. She also said she likes to seeing like the happy, healthy puppies and kittens, or the old patient that she's taken care of for the last few years that comes in and she really enjoys. That makes her feel good. And then thinking that there's always going to be tomorrow, that tomorrow won't be as bad. That helps her get through those rough days. And I asked her what classes are most helpful in the field. She said from the classes that she took at Ashland University, the most helpful was, she joked and said, almost anything that has ology behind it. She said biology, anatomy and physiology, pathology. She said you have to know your stuff in those classes in order to survive in the field, and she felt they were very important. She said I use those every single day. I asked her what made her really interested in the field. She said, honestly, growing up on the farm, that initially sparked her interest, and then seeing the need for more, especially large animal veterinarians in the area where she and I grew up. They are far and few between, but however, we live in the middle of farms, but there's not a whole lot of veterinarians in the area. That just really kind of had given a spark to her passion that she wanted to become a veterinarian. And I asked her if there was really much advancement or promotion. She said that she works in a small clinic. She said not really for hers. They only have, I think she said they have 1 or 2 technicians and a couple assistants. So they don't have a whole lot of promotions available there. However, she said in larger clinics, such as I had done some pod hours at Wellington, they did have a head technician. So that would be a promotion that you could aim for. And I asked her what are some important skills. She said communication is absolutely critical in this field, and with not only your co-workers, but as well as the client. And she said your body language is very important. You have to be able to compose yourself, and you also have to be confident, but not overconfident. And you have to know how to handle your animals and not be afraid of them. And she said as far as personality characteristics that are good for the job, she said make sure you're outgoing, and you have to be very kind and caring, and being level-headed is critical. She said sometimes you get very frustrated with clients if you have a different opinion than what they have with what treatment they should choose for their pet. But you have to be level-headed and make sure you don't let your feelings come out, and because that'll only turn them away from you. And she also said you really need a passion. You have to have a passion in this field. And I asked her what were some things she wished she would have known before getting into the job. And she said she really wishes someone would have told her when she was in high school how much experience you really do need for the veterinarian field. She didn't realize until she was in college that you really do need to start very early, that the veterinarian field is extremely extremely competitive. And I asked her what are related job opportunities. She said almost anything dealing with animals, grooming, pet sitting, pet training. She said, you could do some pet therapy. And then, of course, there's always, if you wanted to even go extend your education and essentially be a veterinarian, of course, you'd have to go back through and go to a lot more school for that. But that's something that you could do, and being a technician or an assistant, having that previous experience would be very helpful in that as well. And I asked her what's the average salary of an assistant. She said anywhere from $8 to $10 an hour. It just really depends on where you're working and the type of work that they'll make you do. And a couple questions I had for her was just like, I wanted to know some interesting cases she's had. And she said she loves looking at x-rays and foreign bodies. She's talking about how a dog had, I think she said a stapler or something like that. And she said bladder stone surgeries are very interesting to watch. And she said, they're cool for the staff to look at, but she said, of course, they're not cool for the animal. And I asked her about some toxins, and I said, were there any interesting toxins? And she said, yeah, those are always very interesting to talk about. She said they've had to call the poison control hotline a couple times because, for example, this one dog got into his owner's sleeping pills, and they just hadn't dealt with that specific drug and that amount really to know offhand exactly what to do, so they had to call the hotline for him. And she also said ear hemotopia, which is where there's blood in the ear canal. She said those are very interesting. She said there's some cats that have come in and had that before. And that's the end of our interview.